The project's focus primarily was to educate the civil society organizations, individuals, and media in particular on issues of business and human rights. And we hope that through this module, we will be able to reach out and educate a larger audience on the responsibilities, the business and human rights responsibilities as envisaged under the UN Global Compact, on private sector's engagement with communities and its responsibilities under the ESG norms, which are popularly known as ESG, the environmental, social, and governance norms. Since the liberalization of 1991, private sector has become pretty center stage in the economic kind of landscape of our country. And we felt that the larger public and civil society actually does not know much about the responsibilities private sector has towards the communities, towards the manufacturers, the supply chain people, everybody. And we thought it's a good opportunity to start educating people on the corporate, what we call corporate social responsibility, which unfortunately in public's mind is limited to the 2% that the companies invest in, say, socially responsible interventions, which are also very, very, I would say, limited to a certain set of interventions, like some education or some health interventions. And we felt that it's time to educate people on the larger scope of what is called business and human rights. And that's why we decided to develop this module. Firstly, you have to demand accountability from businesses. And unless you have the knowledge about what they are supposed to be responsible towards, you can't demand that accountability. So that itself is a huge gap. Usually, businesses have an annual reporting format and they just upload it on their websites, and you just accept it at face value. And I'm sure you have heard of phrases like greenwashing. And we feel that it's important that no such kind of painting a good picture while actually not following the business and human rights norms is happening in our country. And that's why we decided that people need to get more aware. They also need to know what are the various channels of filing in their grievances. And also the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is committed to it. So why not use that effectively? So this 2% of CSR being put in a socially responsible effort, and 90% of the business being done whatever way they choose to, is something that's problematic. We have umpteen examples of industrial tragedies because the norms were not adhered to. We have umpteen examples of labor rights violations, of supply chain, people in the supply chain not being paid their dues correctly, of wage gaps that we find across genders. There are a whole lot of issues that are not covered under something like a 2% CSR, which is like, you set up a water filtration plant, or you do an eye camp, or you paint a building, or create a library in a school, will not take care of the 98% of the way you are conducting your business. So it becomes extremely important to hold businesses accountable. I think it's important for all critical stakeholders to firstly become familiar with what this module is offering. There can be multiple ways of using the knowledge, and different people have different roles in different spaces. One can't limit it just to the media or just to certain civil society players. After all the action is happening very close to communities. So, when a river is getting contaminated as a result of, say, a manufacturing facility, or there are operations which are displacing communities. The tribal people have borne the brunt in our country for decades. I think everybody involved needs to first get educated, and then different stakeholders will have to develop different strategies to call companies to account. So I think it has huge potential. uh, media boot camps is one, and not just national media. I think the vernacular media needs to be educated, and I'm hoping that at some point of time we'll also be able to translate this module into, you know, at least Hindi and some other regional languages for use by the vernacular media. And that's what is required, because action is really closer to, as I said, where communities live.